Welcome everybody to Joann.com. I'm your host Mikey on behalf of the Crochet crowd representing this mystery crochet along with you. It is a stitch along adventure featuring Bernat Blanket yarn. Are you ready to hook up something really amazing? I hope so, because today is clue number 1. For today's mystery adventure, you need a total of 7 balls of Bernat Blanket yarn. This is a 300-gram size. It's the large size format. You're going to need a total of 4 colors. But listen, 3 of the colors need 2 balls and 1 color needs 1 ball. Think about your accent color when it considers that one of them only needs 1 ball of yarn. So just that's a kind of a little clue onto itself. So what you're going to need then is a size M 9mm crochet hook in order to play along as well today. When you're thinking about your colors for your particular project, just remember that Joann.com online and the retail stores has some colors that are only found at Joann.com. So when you're thinking about your decor and gift giving and etc., take a look at their colors because you may find colors that you never even knew existed that only live at Joann.com. Just as a quick reminder that all patterns being used in today's video are available for free. In the video description of this tutorial, you will find a link that will directly take you there in order to access the free pattern. You should also know that if you would like to spoil your surprise and see what this clue looks like, you can scroll to the end of this video, but don't tell them I told you that. But if you would like to live on the edge and just hook along with me and be pleasantly surprised at the end, then you can do that too. So in the meantime, without further ado, let's dive into this mystery and let's start solving this together. So let's begin clue number 1. And the first thing that we want to do is that we want to look at the diagram and the stitch key and work with them with the written instructions in order to put everything together. So this is what you're going to find on the particular pattern, and this is the entire center area of your Afghan here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this step by step in order to make sure that you understand it, see how that these two work together, and then from here I'm then just going to jump to the actual physical work to show you what to do with each step. So in today's diagram we have rounds 1 all the way to round number 12. So this is where we're going to stop our clue for today at the end of today's tutorial. So we're going to be working in a round circle, and let me explain a little bit about this before we continue. So you'll notice that it's kind of like a pie shape. Well, the reason for this is that all of this, if they were to compress this all into one piece of paper, it would be a lot harder to read. So what they're showing you here in the beginning is that it is going all the way around, and even though that these are not going all the way around, you have to assume that is going all the way around and then coming back up, and it shows you really what you need to do in order to keep the repeat pattern going. So it really is key to see exactly where we're chaining up and then what we need to do to see a repeat pattern. And then once you understand the repeat pattern, you can go zip back around, and if you're zipping back around and you're keeping in the counts that it should, this is what it will look like when you come back up. So this is an actual representation of an entire circle. So the second thing is, what are these shapes? So these are the standard crochet diagram symbols. So what we have here is that any good diagram such as this has a stitch key that you can look and counter and just counter check back and forth. So me as an experienced crocheter, I can do this without having to look at this, but if you're new, this is a great way to tell what is going on. So ovals are the chains, dots are slip stitching, and dots are usually used in the beginning or ending of a project, and really quite easy. The plus signs or a cross are single crochets, and we see those right on number 12. We have a half double crochet, but I can tell you firsthand there is no half double crochet here. So you're going to see some symbols here that are not on this chart. Why is that? Can't tell you. That might be a future clue. So this is a really kind of a cool concept in order to work around. So if you're ever confused on what things mean, just go back to the stitch key and it will tell you exactly what you're looking at. So what I want to do is that I want to dive even further into this pattern, because from first glance you're gonna make some assumptions that may be incorrect. So let's do that next. So we have it starting in the middle, and we're gonna go around and then we're gonna build up, and these chaining of 3 counts as a double crochet in this particular pattern, and then we chain an extra one, so to be chaining of 4 and then double crochet into the next, and you continue to go in circles. Now upon first glance, when you get to the bigger areas, you're thinking, okay, double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet in the next one, chain 1, skip 1, and you start looking at it and you're thinking, oh, this is really quite simple. But what it's very easy to ignore or kind of like overlook is the idea that not all stitches are equal. So for example, see this one here? you will notice that there's a double crochet, chain one, and then double crochet into the next one, yet the next one is a chain one, skip one, and double crochet in the next. So what I did for myself is that I started realizing that, and I thought, okay, where else is that appearing? It appears here, here, and here. And why are they doing that? Well, the reason for that is that this pattern is progressively getting bigger, so they need to add more stitches in on an equal level to keep this circle from buckling up. So sometimes that they have to add in, and it's all incremental, so it's just, don't think that it's just random, because it's not. So what I want you to do is that I want you to look at this chart, which is, so in the neon yellow color I highlighted when 2 stitches are in one. Okay, so you can see this going around. You can see that it's going into this one here, and you see it progressively. So these to me are the stages that are really trying to grow it out when you're on the rounds that are solid. So the ones that are having more of a gap space, that I highlighted the ones that are beside each other. So then it's skip one after that, and you'll notice right here in the end that there's 2 that are beside each other, and this is a great way to tell on the progressive on how it's getting bigger, as you can see. So you can almost see that in every round it's very close to like spokes out of a wheel, that it's actually getting bigger near to the same points, except for the final kind of edge as we're going all the way around. So this is a kind of a neat concept. You can mark your chart any way you wish in order for you to understand it, but this is one thing that I like to do for myself in order to make it easier. So let's grab our size M, a 9mm crochet hook today, and in the center I'm going to be using Silver Steel by the Bernat Blanket yarn in order to complete most of the circle, except for the very final round where I'm going to use a vintage white. So here's what the sample looks like that we're going to be aiming for. The center is very solid, like so. Then we're gonna have a spacing kind of idea, and then solid and spacing, and so on. So this is really kind of how it looks. So it's the same as the diagram when you're looking at it from either perspective, whether you're looking at it from a diagram point of view or the finished sample. It should look the same. Let's really grab our hook now. Let's grab our yarn and let's try your hand and see if you can get this. So let's begin with the slip knot. And we are going to chain 4, and one of the stitches, the first one will be the center of your ring, and the other 3 will be a double crochet, and that'll make sense in just a moment. So please chain 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And all I want you to do is wrap the hook and going into the very starting one. Okay, it's the 4th one away from the hook. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's the very start. And I want you to put in 13 double crochets into that same one. So you got 1, and you're gonna have 2, and 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. We have 11, 12, and 13. So with that chaining of 4 that you started with, is that there should be a total of 14 posts going around. So let's just count those together. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. Once you have that satisfied, all I want you to do is just insert your hook into the top of the first chain 4 chain that you started with, and then just join it with the slip stitch like this. And this is the center ring of your Afghan. Let's move along to the second round. So there's a total of 14 of these going all the way around, and we're going to incrementally increase as we go. So in number 2 we want to chain 4. So 1, 2, 3. There's your double crochet, and the 4th one is a chain 1. So it's a double crochet and chain 1. So you're gonna come immediately to the next stitch, and you're going to double crochet, and then chain 1, and then coming into the next stitch, double crochet, and then chain 1, and continue all the way around in order to make this work. Okay, so chain 1, double crochet into the next, chain 1, double crochet in the next, and I'll see you at the end of this round, which is round number 2. I'm coming up all the way around and I've just double crocheted into the last stitch that's available, but before you finish off this one you should chain one first and then join it to the third chain up. Remember we chained up 4, so 1 2 3. Go to the third chain up only. Don't go all the way to the fourth one because that'll eliminate that one chain space that you want. So when you go to count these you should have 14 of these spokes going all the way around. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 and 14. If you don't have 14 you need to stop right now. Just take a look at your work and see where you're going wrong and then continue on with round number 3. So round number 3 we're going to chain up 3 and then there's gonna be 2 double crochets into the chain 1 space and then a double crochet into this double crochet, and you're gonna continue that same idea all the way around. So every chain 1 space will get 2 and then every double crochet will get 1 double crochet, and you're gonna work yourself all the way back around and you're gonna join it. So let me show you how to do that. Let's begin round number 3. So round number 3 we're going to chain up 3. So 1 2 3, and that counts as the double crochet leading from this double crochet spoke. That just kind of helps you get your orientation. So in number 3 every chain 1 space is gonna get 2 double crochets inside, so we're just gonna go right into the space itself and double crochet 2 times into that same space. So 1 and 2. The next double crochet that's available to you is just gonna be 1 double crochet inside that double crochet. Then you're back to a chain 1 space. So in the chain 1 space then 2 double crochets. Please do that idea all the way around for round number 3. So I'm coming all the way back around. I've got my double crochet in this double crochet. I've just got a chain 1 space left and that's gonna have 2 double crochets inside as per the pattern of course. And then we're just going to join it with a slip stitch to the top of the beginning chain 3 to finish like so. So you can see that this round kind of made it more flat. The other round was starting to buckle up, but you can see that the rounds kind of really work together. The one will kind of make it all kind of funky and then the other one will settle it down. So don't lose any patience when it comes to anything like that. Let's move along to round number 4. So let's move along to round number 4. So you're gonna chain up a total of 4. So this is a double crochet and a chain 1, and then in the next double crochet you're going to double crochet then chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next, chain 1, and then double crochet into the next. So I have highlighted it with the fuchsia like this just to show you the fact that they're kind of working right directly beside each other, even though that there's a chain 1 space that separates them, and this is allowing round number 4 to get bigger by inserting an extra chain into the in between the double crochets. Let's move along to number 4. Let me show you how to do it. So let's begin round number 4. We're gonna chain up 4. 1 2 3. There's your double crochet, and an extra chain, which is your 4th, is your chain 1. You're gonna come directly to the next double crochet right beside it, and you are going to double crochet into that space. So the repeat pattern for this whole thing is that right now you're going to then chain 1, okay? You're going to skip 1 and then go into the next for a double crochet, chain 1, go directly to the next double crochet. I'll show you that again. Okay, so you're going to chain 1, skip 1 double crochet and double crochet into the second one over, chain 1 and double crochet into the next one just like it shows in the pattern. So chain 1, skip 1, go to the second one over just like that, chain 1, and then just double crochet into the next one and continue that same pattern going all the way around. So I'm coming up all the way back around. I'm right to the one just before I need to finish. I need to chain 1 and I need to join it to the 3rd chain up, not the 4th. Remember that, so you can keep that. So how do you know if you've done it right so far? That each one of these two, if you look at them as like pairs, like because they're directly beside each other, there should be 14 pairs. So 1 2 3 4, and continue that, and I have verified that off camera. So this is what it looks like at this moment, and let's move along to round number 5. So round number 5 is when we're gonna incrementally start getting bigger. We're gonna start kind of creating these spoke lights coming out, and we're gonna start creating spaces in between that are just regular stitches instead of doubling them up. So we're going to chain 3, which counts as a double crochet, and then the next 2 are just 2 double crochets in a row, and then the next space then has 2 into the same space, and then the next 3 are into the double crochet, chain 1 and double crochet, and then the next one is in 2. So I looked at it from the perspective that essentially every these pairs that you are working with, it's the space in between where two pairs are coming together is where I'm gonna be looking for visually, but I need to count that out as well. So you gotta go 1 2 3 and then 2 into the next, 1 2 3 2 into the next, and so you'll be doing those right into the chain one spaces. So if you're ever thinking that you're losing count and you're thinking that you gotta put 2 into a top of a double crochet, you know that you're going off the rails. Let's begin round number 5. So let's begin round number 5. So look at these two as a pair. Okay, so there's a pair here. Even though they're directly beside each other, they kind of look like they're a pair. And so we're gonna be playing with adding those double stitches where the 2 into the same one in between these pairs. So that's a pair, this is a pair, so I'd have to be adding it here. So here's a pair, here's a pair, so the extra is right in between. So just keep that in mind for visual. So we're gonna chain up 3, 1 2 3, and that counts as a double crochet. Gonna go right into the chain one space for a double crochet. We're gonna go to the next double crochet for a double crochet, and there's your 3 that stand alone, and then the next one, which is the space in between the pairs, okay, that is gonna have 2 double crochets, and that's gonna happen every time we hit one of those. So this is where we're gonna get bigger in the increments. So the next 3 are by themselves, so just go right to the next double crochet. So 1, go to the next chain one space, that's 2, go to the next double crochet, that's your 3. So here's one pair, here's another, and again see it's right in the middle, and you're gonna add your 2 double crochets into that same idea. Continue that same pattern going all the way around, so it's just 3 in a row. So 1, and this chain one space for 2, double crochet for 3, and then here is the space again that is in between the pairs, which is gonna get 2 double crochets. Please do that all the way around, just like that. So I'm coming up to the end of round number 5. The final chain one space is there, and there's 2 double crochets into that space. I ended up there by the calculations of the pattern anyway, but you should make sure that you end up there. So if you end up here and you're not in the same kind of counts of 3 by themselves and then 2 into the one, then you know something is wrong. So let's just join it to the beginning top of the chain 3, and that concludes round number 5. So I'm back to the chart for round number 6. So we're gonna chain up 4, 3 of it counts as double crochet and then a chain 1. We skip 1 and double crochet into the next, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet in the next, chain 1, and double crochet into the very next one. So where I've highlighted is where 2 double crochets are sitting beside each other when it comes to this, and so you can see the increments as it grows as well. So let's move along to round number 6. Moving along to round number 6, we're gonna chain up 4. So 1 2 3, there's your double crochet, and the 4th is your chain 1. So in this particular one, we want to skip the next stitch that's available to you, the next double crochet, and come to the second one over and double crochet into that double crochet, just like that. Chain 1, and we want to skip over the next double crochet and double crochet into the second one over, and here's the increment of growth on this particular point. So we're gonna chain 1 right there, and then just double crochet right into the very next one, so we're not skipping anything at this particular point. So let's repeat on how to do this particular one again. So I'm going to chain 1, I'm gonna skip 1 and go to the second over. I'm going to chain 1, skip 1, go to the second chain over, and this is where the growth is gonna happen. So chain 1 after this, and then come right directly beside for another double crochet. So it's just like the pattern shows, is that you have 2 that are pretty close to each other side by side, and you have one that's kind of just standing on its own. So continue that all the way for round number 6. So I'm coming up all the way around to number 6. So I have to basically at this point I have to skip 1 and go into the final. This is the final stitch that is available, and then I chain 1 and then I slip stitch to the 3rd chain up. So this final one, if you looked at the diagram, they were kind of just side by side, which they are, and so then you have one that stands by itself and then side by side and so on. So that was round number 6. Let's move on to number 7. Moving up to round number 7, we're gonna chain up 3, which counts as a double crochet, and the next 4 double crochets are in a row. So there's gonna be a total of 5 double crochets in between the increments of growth. The nice thing about this is that, do you see where we put two side by side with the chain one space in the middle? You can really identify that on this pattern. It's really quite easy, and so you can really think about it. The space that's separating those two is the space that's gonna have the growth. Do you see that? These ones were sitting by itself. So use that as a clue in order for you to help, and I think this particular pattern is really quite easy in this particular round because all I have to do is look where they are, and it just makes a lot of sense. So let's move along to round number 7. So moving along to round number 7, and so do you see that these two are sitting by itself beside each other? So those are the ones that's gonna have the 2 in there. This one's kind of on its own. Do you see that when you really look at it? So these two are side by side, and these two are side by side. These are on its own. So this is where we're going to put those 2 extra in. So let's begin, and we're going to chain up 3. So 1, 2, and 3, and we come into the next chain 1 space for a double crochet. And remember, there's gonna be 5 in a row. So let's start counting those as we go. So the chaining of 3 counts as one of the double crochets. So we're physically on number 2 for the count. Double crochet for the third, the space for the 4th, just like this, and in this double crochet then is your 5. So there is your 5 to satisfy it. Look where you are. The next one is right in between where the 2 sit side by side. There's gonna be 2 double crochets right into that same space. Just like that. So now there's gonna be another 5 before you get to this one right here where they're sitting side by side. Use those visual clues. It's a lot easier. So let's count out 5. So 1, go to the chain 1 space next for 2, double crochet into the next double crochet for 3, chain 1 space for 4, and the next double crochet is your 5th, and look exactly where you are again. See, you're right in between where the 2 are side by side. So you put in 2 double crochets into that same space. Please do that for round number 7. So I'm coming up to the end of round number 7. Remember, the final chain 1 space, see how these 2 are side by side, is going to be the one that has 2 together, or 2 into the same one. And so that just helps you, give you a visual clue as well. So join it to the top of the chain 3 that you started with, and we're going to then move on with round number 8, like so. Okay, so it's looking really good so far. I'm really quite happy with it. Let's move along. I'm so excited. So let's go on to round number 8. We're gonna chain up 4. 3 of it counts as a double crochet, and then we're gonna skip 1 stitch, double crochet in the next. Chain 1, skip 1 stitch, double crochet in the next. Chain 1, skip 1 stitch, and then look, these 2 are side by side with a chain 1 that separates them. So there's gonna be chain 1s obviously that separate each one of the double crochets. So my visual cue on this one is that every time I see that there was 2 into the same one, because you physically can see that on your pattern, is that is the start of 1 coming in, chain 1, and then double crochet into the very next one right after it. So use these as your visual cues as you're going all the way around, and let's begin round number 8. So let's begin round number 8. We're gonna chain 4. So 1, 2, 3, there's your double crochet. The 4th is your chain 1 space. So skip the next one and go to the second one over for a double crochet. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next one. So here is the 2 that are standing by themselves. Chain 1 and skip 1, and look. See how these 2 are into the same one? So I told you as we did it. So the second one is the one that we end up with the double crochet, chain 1, and we double crochet directly beside it for the next one. So there's your incremental increase. Okay, so this one here, that chaining of 3 that you have right here at the beginning, is actually one of these that are side by side. So let's repeat this pattern again just so you understand. So you're gonna chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next. You're going to chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next. So here's your 2 that stand all lonely by themselves. Chain 1, skip 1, and look at that. See, it's the second one of where 2 are into the same one. You're gonna double crochet into that one, chain 1, and double crochet directly into the next one that's available to you, so you don't skip over anything at that point. Do you see that? So there you got your lonely ones here. You got the ones that are still looking like they're sitting side by side, which they are, and a chain 1 space separates them, and so then 2 lonelies and then 2 side by sides. So continue that same idea going all the way around. So I'm coming up all the way around to number 8. So I got 2 lonelies that are here, chain 1, and I skip 1 and I double crochet into the next one, which is the final stitch, chain 1, and then just join it to the third one up. Okay, so this beginning one and the final are the ones that kind of look like that they sit like 2 beside each other. Okay, so that's it for number 8. Let's move on to round number 9. So let's move up to number 9. We're gonna chain 3, which counts as a double crochet, and we're gonna double crochet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So with this one here, it's a total of 7 double crochets in between the ones that have the incremental increase. You notice this? Yes, those are the ones that are sitting side by side. So these ones sit directly in between those. So if you can look for those cues, which are really easy to tell, you can really be able to follow and whip along in this round really quite easily as well. This pattern is a lot easier than I realized when you just take it step by step instead of trying to digest it all at one time. So 7 in a row and then 2 into the next, and then just look for your visual cues of where the ones that are side by side to put those in when you see it. So you'll be ending with 2 into that last chain 1 space, just like you see here, and then just joining it. Let's begin round number 9. So let's begin number 9. So when you really look at it, see the 2 that are sitting side by side? Very easy to tell that is the one that's gonna have the 2 in there. So you keep moving along, you got 2 lonelies, hey, there's one side by side, that'll be where the next increase is. But you can count it out as well. So we're gonna chain up 3, 1, 2, 3, and do 6 of its buddies. So chain 1 into the next space. So let's count those out. Let's count it out with that chain 3 counted. So this is number 2, this is number 3, chain 1 space for 4, double crochet into the next double crochet for 5, chain 1 space for 6, and double crochet for 7, and look exactly where you are. See, it's the one that are side by side. So the next one will have 2 double crochets sitting right in the middle of those 2, just like that. So let's do another 7. So 7 in a row. So 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And look where we are. See? You got 2 side by side, so that right in the space in between is the one that has 2. Please do that all the way around for round number 9. So as you come back around the chain 1 space just before, it has 2 in there, and that's keeping with the count of the stitches, so that's no accident. Of course we're keeping in balance, and then you're just going to join it to the top of the beginning, chain 3, to conclude round number 9. So this is what we have so far. Let's move along and go for round number 10. So moving up to round number 10, we're gonna chain 4. 3 of it counts as a double crochet, and then we're gonna skip 1, double crochet in the next, chain 1. And what you're doing here, do you notice here you had 1 lonely one, then you had 2 lonely ones, now you got 3 lonely ones, and so you're just gonna carry on. Just like the visual clue with how these were in together, and it was the second one, just like you see, you put in 2 in the last one there. It's again the second one is your visual cue on which ones go side by side. So in this case what we're going to do is that we're just gonna have 3 lonely ones. Remember that the chain 3 counts as one that's side by side as you're in here, as you're working all the way around. Let's begin round number 10. Round number 10 we're going to chain up 4. So 1, 2, 3, that is your double crochet. The 4th is your chain 1. So skipping the next stitch and going to the second one over, you're going to double crochet, and we're going to create 3 lonely ones all by themselves of double crochet. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next. Okay, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next. So now here's your 3 lonely ones, because this one here is part of one that sits side by side. So when you chain 1 and you're gonna go to the second one over, so there, see? This is where the 2 are in there, and it's the last one of the 2. It's the second one, right? So that is just like it was before. So chain 1 and double crochet immediately into the next one, and there's your increase for that one. So let's again repeat this pattern. So chain 1, skip 1, double crochet in the next. So yep, there we go. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet in the next. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet in the next. There's your 3 lonely ones in there. Chain 1, skip 1, and look at that. See, you're in the second one of where there's 2 into the same one. Means that we're on the right path. Chain 1, and double crochet immediately into the very next one. Please continue that same idea going all the way around for round number 10. So I'm coming up all the way around. I got 3 lonely ones right in a row right here, and now I'm gonna chain 1 and skip 1 and go to the final, which these two count as side by side. Chain 1 and just join it to the top, or sorry, to the third chain up, just like so. So that concludes off round number 10. So you can see clearly you got the ones that stand by themselves here, you got the ones that sit side by side, and so on all the way around. Let's move up to round number 11. So we're almost done this circle for today, and what we have here is that we need to chain up 3, and then we're going to do another 12 in a row. So there's going to be a total, if with this chaining 3 counts as a double crochet, there's going to be a total of 13 double crochets standing by itself, and then the next one is going to be 2 into the next. So the way that I look at it here is that this one I don't see any visual cues that really can help me at this particular point, so I'm gonna physically need to count these all the way around. So there's 13 double crochets in between each one of these ones that sit side by side, and this will conclude then basically this, and we're gonna finish off this color at this point and finish round number 12 with a different color in order to bring this one to conclusion. So let's begin round number 11. We're going to chain up 3, 1, 2, 3. That counts as a double crochet. You're going to double crochet into the double crochets and chain 1 spaces as you go, and then you need to count a total of 12 additional. So with this one here it's 13. So let's count it with this one included so it makes it easier to follow along. So the next one then will be 2, and you're just filling in all the spaces and double crochets. This is 3 and 4 and 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. So there's your 13 just like so, and so then you end up with the chain 1 spaces being your next one, which is accurate as per the pattern, and there will be 2 double crochets into that same space, and then we start back up 13 again. So let me do another 13 with you. So we're gonna just start immediately in the next double crochet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13, and the next one is a chain 1 space, and that one has your 2 in there. So you'll put 2 in that one then, and continue that same pattern all the way around. So 13 in a row, then 2, 13 in a row, and then 2. Please do that all the way around for round number 11. So I'm coming up all the way back around. Here's the final chain 1 space, and there's 2 double crochets into that same space, and that keeps in line with the count as well. So that was my 14th one. So I did 13 in a row, and here's the 2, and then I'm just going to join it with the beginning, top of the beginning chain in 3. That's it for this particular color. We're going to switch off colors for number 12 and then conclude the circle for today. So let me finish off this color. So I've already trimmed it, so it's about 10 inches long, and I'm just gonna pull it through the remaining loop. What I want to do, taking my hook, I want to just feed it in and out of these stitches for at least a couple inches. And what we're gonna do in the next round is that we got one more color and round to do for this particular area, and then that color is gonna wrap around this, so it's gonna be quite nice to go in there. And overall I think you'll enjoy this project generally. The finished project looks amazing. Not gonna lie, it's gonna look awesome. So let's continue and let's move up to round number 12. So right where I ended there was 2 that were in the same one, and here's the chain 3 of the one of round number 11. So I want to stick my hook in there, and I want to grab my new yarn. I do not want to create a knot. I just want to loop it around, and I want to pull through and just let this straggler just fall down on top, and I want you to chain up 1 and 1 single crochet into that same stitch that you just put it in. So now we're going to count out stitches together. So the next one, see there's a chain 1 space. So the next one is then each double crochet as you work around. So this one plus the other 13 gives you a total of 14. So I'm gonna count this one in, okay? So the next one is going to, and just put this down on top. The next one is 2. The next one is 3 and 4. And I just want to bury that whole section in. This is 5, 6, 7 and 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 and 14. And look at that. See, there's 2 into the same one, and it's the second one of the 2, just like it shows in the diagram, is gonna have 2 single crochets. So continue the same idea, 14 in a row and then 2, 14 in a row and then 2. Please do that all the way around, and then we're gonna fasten off, and then this is the conclusion of the circle part of the Afghan. So I'm coming all the way back around. I have 1 stitch left, and I've even keeping count, and that is the one that has 2 in there. So I've done my 14 before that, and that's the one with 2, and just join it to the top of the beginning single crochet. That's it for this color, and that concludes this part of the Afghan. Just fasten this color off, and then you can join me next time in order to be able to follow along with the rest of this Afghan. So please just weave in and out your yarn and get ready, and we'll meet you back here and we'll begin to do the next section of this particular Afghan. So that's it for now. Looks like you got a little bit of homework. Better get it done before you see me next Monday, where I'm gonna take you to clue number 2. This is a great way to do more Afghans at the same time if you do it in sections like this. So if you want to start another one or another, of course you're welcome to do so, because it's not as daunting when you do it in stages like this. Of course we want to see your work. Joanne Facebook, we have an events page happening where the stitchers of knitters and crocheters are coming together showing their work in progress. Maybe you have some really cool color schemes. Maybe you have some questions. Remember, if you're tagging us on Instagram, please use our hashtag of handmade with Joanne. That's handmade with Joanne, and we love to be tagged in order to see your work. So on behalf of Joanne.com, I'm your host Mikey of the Crochet Crowd. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you again next week for clue number 2.